Have you ever wanted to be in business with someone else, considered a partnership? Well, we have 8 tips for what you might want to consider before you jump in and take the plunge and become partners with someone else in your business. Welcome to the Prof Sales YouTube channel. I am Prof Sales.
And I'm Just Ask Kaaren.
And on this channel, we talk about reselling, being in business for yourself, being an entrepreneur, selling on e-commerce platforms like eBay, Amazon, your mindset, staying positive, all kinds of other things. And we are glad you are here. So there's a live chat going on right now. If you ever want to join us, we're on at 2 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Eastern Standard Time, and you can join the live chat. But if not, you can leave a question or comment down below after the video post. Also, check out the description for lots of helpful links. Especially, I just added some things like our equipment that we use, which I think you guys will find some value in. And we hope that you get a lot out of this video.
Yes. And there's going to be a test. So
there's going to be a test.
Study up, get your pens and papers ready.
Yeah, so we're letting everybody filter in the room here a little bit, and it's starting to fill up. Sorry, I got this really full tea here that's really good. It really is good.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we wanted to talk to you guys today about basically going into business with somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to put it?
Well, and we need to update folks on what we're working on with the warehouse. And, we did kind of hint at potential partnerships and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. So we wanted to give you guys an update on how this partnership deal, for those of you who don't know and haven't watched before, just know that we recently were able to acquire a warehouse to house our eBay business in, reselling business in. And we also made contact with someone who was going to business with us and form a partnership.
Right. But more importantly, Jason's drinking peppermint tea, Adam, and I'm drinking green ginger pineapple.
Is that what it is? It's delightful.
It is, with some honey. He's a honey needy kind of guy in his honey. Me, not so much.
Yeah, it's true. I am. But so we went into this warehouse deal and thought we would form a partnership, and we would, be able to use that to leverage that and make our business a lot better, make all 3 of our businesses better as well. Mm-hmm. And I guess we started that process, maybe a couple months ago, maybe a little less.
Sure.
Something like that. And it became apparent over time to all parties involved that this was not really a good fit at this time. And obviously, when there's a situation like this, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and there's things that are said and things that are done. And, we went into this with an open mind. We went into this with an open heart, with this, kind of, I don't know, what am I looking for? What are the word I'm looking for here?
We put the cart before the horse.
Oh, well, you're going to that.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. We went into it wanting something, and it's not the right time, right?
It's not
the right fit. It's not the right time. And in all fairness, we wanted to update everybody. There's still some other partnerships that we have in the works. So just because this one idea isn't going to work right now, doesn't mean we're not already working on some others. So we got to talking about it, and we want to talk today about some things to consider before going into a partnership with someone. And they're not necessarily things that we did or didn't do, did right, did wrong.
Right.
But there's certainly, we could have been, everything that we do, I guess we could do a little differently, right?
Oh, sure.
So the actual topic of today's show, is it on the thingy? Is 8 things to know, 8 things to consider and keep in mind when choosing a partner.
Full disclosure, we're not suggesting that all these things were or were not present in the aforementioned partnership. And so don't take this as some sort of referendum on that. But it's some things that we noticed about partnerships, and some of these things we did right, some of them we didn't do so right. And we thought it might be helpful if any of you guys are out there, wondering about a partnership, maybe with somebody, And maybe, you can take from one of these 8 and, figure out exactly if this partnership will, likely to last for you.
Right. And what's interesting is we analyze and overthink? Possibly. But this list that we made,
I was like Bat Dad there for a second.
Because it could be not the Bat Prof again. Please don't
Bat
do that.
Prof.
I'm just not. I'm not in the mood. So this list that we made actually comes in handy for our own relationship, because it could be said that we have a partnership.
Yes.
And it ain't perfect.
No, of course not. And we don't always agree and disagree. We don't always agree on business. I mean, we don't agree on other things too.
We never agree.
We never agree. Well, we agree on that.
Yeah.
Or do we? See what I did there? So, but we are still, have a partnership around this business and so on. But, with the third person, we do not at this time. But we wanted to share with you guys 8 things that, maybe can help you if you're deciding to choose a partner. So let's jump into them. Do you want number 1 or me?
I'll do number 1.
Okay.
So number 1, verbatim, have a frank discussion about what you want out of the partnership before you make too many plans.
Planning is cheap.
It is.
It takes time.
Talk is cheap, right? And it's really easy to get caught up in what, the idea, what could be it's like blending a family, right? So when it's like the Brady Bunch, we'll use Brady Bunch analogy, right?
A lovely lady.
Yes. With 3 girls of her own, right? And then dude has his own set of challenges with his own sons. Right. And then they came together and then, whatever. But you have to consider all of that. And you need to be able to start from a place where you're having a frank and open discussion about what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, and honestly, we were guilty of, we probably didn't flesh out some things with our particular partnership as well as we should have. And that's on us. And, that's common. People jump into partnerships and decide that it's going to be a good thing without really, kind of working through some of the details and so on. So you need to have that discussion before you actually start. That's really important.
Look, like Luke's being cheeky already. Are you going to give us a tip per item there, Luke? That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Always partner with Prof. That's funny. So number 2 is seek partners that have strengths that you do not have and will contribute to the partnership. First of all, they might have a strength that you don't have, but it might not contribute to the partnership. So that's not really that useful. So what you want to look for are areas where they can be stronger and you're not as strong, because you're gonna be good at certain things, but hopefully your partner is going to be good at some other things that are really material to the business.
Well, and don't take this the wrong way, but you can't have a trinity or a partnership or a whatever with 2 or 3 profs.
That's true.
Like it just wouldn't work. Can you imagine? Like it would be.
We would take over the world.
No offense, but it would be all day spreadsheets all day. Like that's all good and well, but. And you'll do what you'll do.
I got a spreadsheet that shows you why that's not correct.
Yeah, I got your spreadsheet right here. But listen, it can't, especially when you're blending your Brady Bunch, right? It can't be all one way. It can't be all, pineapples. You got to put a little grapes and strawberries in your fruit salad.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to look for people that can complement you. They don't need to be carbon copies of you, because again, running a business, and I mean, really, you have to look for this in your own business too, because you may have a partnership in your own business with an employee. I mean, that's not a partnership in the strict sense of the word. You may have a partnership with your accountant, with a tax preparer. You may have a partnership with someone who's helping you, do listings. Whatever it is you're doing in your business, you may already have you have a partnership with an e-commerce platform. You have a partnership with eBay or Amazon or Poshmark or Etsy or wherever you're selling, because they are providing a place to handle transactions and market things while you're providing, content. So you always want to look for partnerships that have, or partners that have strengths where you're not as strong.
or that brings something different, right?
Right.
And this one kind of segues we didn't talk about this so much, but it segues into the next one. But you also, if you're looking to blend whatever you're doing with someone else, and it could be similar to what you're doing or completely different, you're going to have to take a look at your own strengths and your own weaknesses. And you and I talk about that a lot with each other, either with our relationship or our business relationship. And sometimes that's not easy to do. And we didn't really talk about this earlier, but self-assessments can be hard. Holding up the mirror and potentially seeing things that you're not 100% happy with or content with, or that you can see getting better. Like, it's one thing if you point it out to yourself, but maybe it's a whole other uncomfortable something if you don't, right? If someone else brings it to your attention. But you should be able to discuss how you will leverage your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, and achieve your partnership goals together. Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, because if you can't have that conversation from all parties' standpoint, right? If you can't have that conversation, what's going to happen when things get tough in your business? And they will get hard. There will be challenges. There will be obstacles. You're going to have to talk about ways to work through those. And, you're in this together. There can't be three separate, what was it I said? You can't be like trying to get cats to walk in a parade. Cats kind of do their own thing. So if you've got people walking, going in every different direction, you're setting yourself up for failure. So you have to find ways to work together and work around what your weaknesses are and leverage your strengths. So.
Well, and I have to point out just what Just 10 said. It's tough to compromise for the best thing for the company, not yourself. It's tough, but
great.
It is necessary. Like, and I can't even tell you how many times over the last, year or three, that's what it's about, right? If you set any kind of goal, your momentum, your inertia, your effort, it's all towards that goal, right? And it shouldn't be, especially if it's more than you involved. And we kind of struggle with that sometimes with each other, but it's not personal, right?
Right.
Like, some of the things we do and the reason why and how we do them is about meeting that goal. And it's not at the expense of someone or something else necessarily. But you're absolutely right. It's the best thing is not easy, but it's the best thing. That's why they call it the best thing, right?
Well, that's perfect that you said that, because that segues perfectly into number 4.
We're just a segue machine today.
A segue, not the Segway you ride around.
Oh, so, can I get one of those?
Of course.
I want one of those.
It's going to be tough going up and down steps, but all right. Find ways to handle conflicts that allow you to respect each other's differences of opinion. That probably drives a bigger wedge in a partnership and a business relationship than anything else, because you absolutely are going to have differences of opinion. But here's what's tough for a lot of people. It's tough for all of us at some point in our development. When someone disagrees with you, we tend to take it personally. And the way the message is delivered does matter, of course, for sure. I mean, if it can be delivered personally, or it can be delivered, a little bit more objectively. But you have to find a way to handle these conflicts, because you're going to have differences of opinion on what the partnership should do, which direction you should go next. And it's actually kind of the small things that are the ones that sort of drive you nuts, because they add up. Like, if Karen's like, well, I want to ship this box this way. And I'm like, all right, I don't think that's a good idea. Or the other day, like when you were talking about breaking up that item to sell one to the guy. And I was like, I wouldn't do it. But ultimately I told her, I said, and I meant it. If you want to do that, do it. I said, but just consider you're spending your time again. Like, I was trying to walk through with her kind of, what you have to compromise on, or what you have to give up by taking the listing down. And, ultimately, if you deliver things, I think with, your heart in the right place, you're trying to improve the business, you're not trying to hurt somebody or hurt their feelings, then it's on them. It's on them to decide how they receive it, how your partner receives it. So, and that's hard, but I think that a lot of times, we internalize critiques and disagreements and, make it about personalities rather than about the actual issues. So anyway, that was number 4.
Okay, they're not numbered, so I'll count the dots.
I think it's,
remember?
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting.
Remember.
And this one actually comes into play with, we've got some meetings coming up with some other potential partners. But remember that when you choose to work with someone, when you choose a partnership, this marriage, this Brady Bunch, this fruit salad, whatever you're going to call it, that not only are you choosing them, but they're choosing you as well. And what did we mean by that, Prof?
You're like, what do we mean by that? Well, again, it goes back to your perspective, because if you approach the partnership as, I want to get out of this what I want to get out of this for me, your partnership's probably going to fail. Because you're looking at, if I'm saying, what can Kaaren bring to the business and it'll help me and not help her too? Because if she chooses to be a part of it and I choose to be a part of it, we have to have some belief that we're both going to get something out of it, that it's worth it to us. Like, again, it goes back to the time equation. What's your time worth? What do you want to put your time and energy into? And if you have a very one-sided partnership or approach to it, somebody eventually is going to get tired of that. Like, that's not valuing them, their time, their energy, their efforts. So when you choose somebody else, they're choosing you for all the things that, the good, the bad, and the ugly of you, which I think is on here somewhere in a moment.
It's probably the next one.
But it's about choosing, or realizing that the person is choosing to partner with you just like you're choosing to partner with them. And you have to take into account their perspective.
Well, and everybody brings a different value, right? You certainly can't go into it thinking you're all that. Like, you're talking about what the other people have to bring, but you have to be realistic about yourself too.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
you can't think that you're coming in and I'm gracing you with my presence. It's kind of like it's just a coming together of goodness. Like, we want to take the best of all of it and put it together and make it better, right?
Yeah.
So here's one rather, that is probably caught us up a little bit.
Yeah.
But partnerships can sound romantic, but tactics and financials will decide if they succeed or not. And the romance of anything, it will trip you up, man. If you don't take a more realistic look of something, you kind of get caught up in the touchy-feely, mushy-wushy stuff instead of what matters, right? Like, somebody just said again, like, it's business. Like, it, and there's my IOB, right? One of the biggest killers of business and partnerships is emotion. Oh, and just add to that, when you're in a relationship in business.
I was wondering where you're going there. Yeah, Kaaren and I have experienced this over the past year or two, because Kaaren has worked in the business. And, we actually had that conversation today where I said, if you need to do something totally different to fulfill you, to satisfy, what you want, you should go do it. I told you that. And she's giving me a look, but it's true, because it can sound great to even work together when you're a couple like this, but figuring all that out and making sure that it makes sense financially, and you're on enough of the same page that you can get through a given day with what has to be done and so on. That's hard. That can be difficult. And like you said, the warm fuzzy of hey, let's all form a partnership and it'll be great, that wears off super fast when the bills show up, when the sales aren't coming in, when you walk in your warehouse and there's mold everywhere. That's my biggest worry. And
it's still your biggest worry.
It's still my biggest worry. But those sorts of things are real world problems, and you have to have strategies for dealing with those. And just being in a partnership is not enough. Like, if you're not making the dollars, if the bottom line is not working, you need to pivot. And if you can't pivot, if your skill set, your strengths, and so on don't allow you to go in a direction that will be profitable, you should dissolve the partnership if it's not working to that point, and people should go do something different. Because, you know, you can take two really good things, two really good businesses, two really good business people, put them together, and they can become mediocre. I mean, it's not that they automatically become great. That doesn't always happen that way. So I think this is exactly right, that the romance of a partnership will wear off very, very quickly.
Well, yeah, and it's not all kumbaya moments like there. And yeah, clearly, mushy wushy, not mushy wushy. Sorry, I almost got.
Watch the spikes.
I know. Watch the hair.
They'll draw blood.
Hi, Wes. Take a picture for us in Puerto Rico. He's probably gone already.
Connie says there's no way she could partner with her husband. Even if you were the boss, Connie?
Yeah. No.
All right. So what are we on? Number 7?
We're on subsequent dot.
Subsequent dot. Before you enter into a partnership, or probably before, I guess, obviously makes the most sense. We didn't put that on here, but it makes the most sense. You have to be willing, and you should analyze your own business in all facets, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because again, it goes back to, if your business is not working very well and you partner up with somebody who is working well, there's a tendency to drag theirs down rather than they pull yours up. It just seems to be the way like things work. And so you need to make yours as strong as you can. I mean, you're partnering together to leverage other strengths that maybe you don't have. But if your business is not successful, whatever you call that, on its own, then you need to improve that and work on that. Like, that needs to be, you know, it's not like you can just say, oh, I'm not very successful in my business, and this person's not very successful in their business, but together we'll be successful. Maybe, but probably not, because who's going to take care of the things that were not happening in your individual businesses? Who's going to fix those things? Who's going to make those things better? And I think a lot of times, again, it goes back to the romance of the partnership. Oh, well, we're both sort of, but if we form a partnership here, it'll just be great. You know, we'll just will it so. And that's just not true.
Well, and to put it into context for the current relationships that we're working on or not working on, you know, we even mentioned that we had there were some things in our own processes, our own business, that we weren't comfortable with. I mean, let's just be honest. There were some things, and probably enough things, that we felt we needed to work on that made the timing of this not right. Like, we really, in context of whatever we'd been working on, the timing just wasn't right. We needed to work on some other things before we worked on things together. I mean, would you say that's accurate? That's
exactly right. And bringing somebody else into that would make it even tougher. It would not improve those things.
Well, and then imagine, like, you're expected to, like, come together, hit the ground running, but you have these things that need work still. So how on earth are you going to make that, like, fortify that and start on a firm foundation when you now, instead of putting all your energy to moving forward, you have to kind of go backwards and fill in the gaps there.
Right.
Right. That's exactly that doesn't make sense.
I think we're in the last one.
Is that me?
You want to do it?
Sure. 8. Make sure your business is already firing on all cylinders, that you will be able to thrive together.
Yeah, and that ties into with what we were talking about with the previous one.
Of course it does. And that's important. And I mean, all of these things are important. And we didn't make any list then. You know, as we go forward, we kind of pulled some things together for what that would look like moving forward when we do try this again, because we will. But yeah, it has to be, you can't, like you said something that makes a lot of sense to me. So you can't
mark it down, mark the date and time.
Just this one time. So you're right. You can't bring two mediocres together, and even in personal relationships, like if you ain't right and I ain't right.
Sure.
Together,
we know that from personal relationships. Why do we not know it from partnerships?
Brilliant. Okay, show's over.
Drop the mic, right? Don't drop the mic, it'll break.
No, but no, show's not over. But you know, like you can't. Yeah, it kind of speaks to that whole romance of it. Like even the romance, the idea of, you know, going into business for yourself, or the idea, this concept of e-commerce and selling on eBay or selling on Amazon or Etsy or Posh or whatever. We kind of get caught up in this, what we think it, you know, the unicorns and rainbows, what we think it should look like.
Right.
And then sometimes when we're faced with the reality of what it actually looks like, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Yeah. And Clarence Ninja asked, what would be the reason to partner up reselling except splitting up warehouse costs? I can see hiring help, but that'd be it for me.
That's a great question.
I think there's a few ways where reselling would be a partnership might work. If you both had different sourcing abilities and sourcing knowledge, for instance, they could be blended together, you know, adequately. Obviously, if like one person is selling clothing and the other person is selling car parts, that's not really a logical, you know, melding together. I think the other part is that reselling can be very lonely. And that's something we didn't really talk about. And it can be hard for a lot of people to maintain energy and focus and drive when they're alone. Sometimes having a second person there can push you in a way that you know, not even not like they're overtly pushing you. It's just that they're there and you're like, well, I don't want to let them down, or they're working hard too. And, you know, that can be another reason that partnering up could be beneficial to both.
Right. And there's also, you know, partnering with another reseller. I still think there's ways that we haven't even talked about that would be beneficial. You know, like not so much, you're right, Ninja, the sharing of the space. Yes, that makes sense. But there might be a sort of divide and conquer mentality here that might work well. Like if you're strong in listing, or you're strong in photographs, or you're strong in one way, I guess it sounds like we're kind of delegating processes, we're delegating tasks, we're whatever, but okay, why not?
You're gaining an employee, but you're also gaining some efficient. Like I always think two people work more than twice as hard as one person when they're on the same page. So I think, you know, having another person there too can improve your overall output, whether it be sourcing, whether it be photos, whether it be listing, packing, shipping, whatever it is. But again, it has to fit with all the, you know, the other 7 parameters we talked about. Luke has a huge control issue, he says.
I knew that about him from the first time we ate pancakes together.
He's like, you guys will have this. No, he didn't do that. We're just kidding.
He kind of did. He told me what to order, and I was
like, did he really?
What?
I don't remember that.
No, but if he remembers, we had a great, he had me pegged from the beginning. It was awesome. And he. But so now I just lost my whole train of thought about those partnership things. But I think that there's ways that, you know, we can come together. Like we even talked about, you know, it's lonely, but there's also some trust things. Like imagine having a partner, like nobody gets a vacation in this business, right? Without consequence.
That's a good point too.
Right?
The partner could provide that.
So having employees or having a partner, like I'd feel better having a partner, but currently our current partnership doesn't allow for one to go on vacation. Although, will you watch the store while I go on vacation for a while?
Yes, I will.
But yeah, so it gives, I think there's some peace of mind. There's some, you know, and again, there's ways that we can work together that we haven't even tapped yet. And that's what, you know, we're going to be talking about in the next, you know, in the upcoming months, about some different, you know, our take on different ways. Sort of, I mean, it's exciting. Like we're, are we to the other topics part yet? So,
almost.
You know, we're planning some things and some trips and some, you know, that are going to kind of, I don't know, it's going to push the envelope a little bit. It's a little bit out of the boxy kind of stuff,
out of our comfort zone for sure. Sadie says he can never give up complete control because he's always worked alone and doesn't jive with others. I knew that about you, Sadie. I knew you didn't play well with others. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's okay. Like, I don't, like, if you can't, that's okay. I don't think that it's not reasonable then to expect you to give up. Like, if you're set in the way that you do things, if you've always done it a certain way, and if it works for you, and if you see it as,
and if you can continue to do it,
right. I mean,
the energy,
what is it? If
you know what I mean?
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, maybe that should be at the top of the list. Like, if you're considering partnering with someone else, but you really, really love exactly how you're doing what you're doing, then stay and do what you do.
But I'm going to throw a wrench in the works.
Of course you are, because that's what you do.
Because I'm going to say, suppose you're a small business owner and you own a small retail clothing store. You know,
what do I sell?
Clothes.
Okay.
You sell, I don't know.
Pretty sparkly things.
Footed pajamas.
Oh, like onesies for grown-ups. I love it.
Perfect.
With
so you sell those in your 300 square foot space, and you're running every part of that business. You're doing the sourcing, you're buying things from manufacturers.
Yeah.
You're handling the books.
Ugh.
You're running the cash register. You're opening and closing. You're handling all the customers that come in.
Yeah, and because
guess
my
what?
Customer service is
you only got 168 hours a week.
I know.
Just like me.
I know.
And I would argue the only way you're going to be able to grow or even have some peace of mind or some sort of balance in your life, you need to hire somebody to run the cash register. You know, or maybe even need to have a manager. If the money works, of course. I get all that. We're saying, but there's only so much you can grow by yourself. That we know for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it can be really big. Don't get me wrong. But you just don't. You run out of time. That's why you partner with somebody. That's why you have employees. That's why you hire somebody to do your photos, your listing, your accounting, your sourcing, your marketing, your whatever it is you're having them doing, your legal work, because you run out of time to be able to do it yourself. So I think that's why you would look towards a partner, because with a partner, and you mentioned a moment ago, they're going to have a different accountability level than most employees.
Right.
They're going to want the business to succeed because they're vested. An employee is vested only to a point for the most part. You know, they're there for the paycheck. And in the types of businesses we run, most of those employees could go pretty much anywhere and get that paycheck. They could work a lot of different places. There's nothing special about us. They got to want to be at our particular business. But a partner is going to have a different level of buy-in and accountability than an employee. So something to consider.
You know, and that's what Sadie said. I mean, it's a big leap, and you got to make it make sense to you. And it's funny because we were talking this morning about, there's so many different kinds of models for selling online, right? You've got people that have the benefit or detriment of a day job, right? So you've got your full-time income, and for whatever reason, you're also selling on eBay, right? For that extra income. And then you have people like us that do this full time and don't have, and I don't want to get into a debate about, my choice of words here, but the cushion of, or the existence of that income. Right. Like, I mean, and we talk about, for some people, eBay is that we were talking about that yesterday or Wednesday too, that's for some people, eBay is the hustle. For others, it's a side hustle. Yeah. No, agreed. So I hope you guys appreciated those 8 tips we had for you. Partnerships are definitely challenging. They have some pros and cons, just like everything else. And but you definitely need to walk into them with your eyes open about all those things we just discussed. Right. And by all means, if you've got a suggestion on some things that we left off, because when we first brought this up, lots of folks made really great suggestions about contracts and background checks and getting it in writing and all of that stuff. And you're absolutely right. All of those bread and butter. No, that's not the word. Well, and we just picked when choosing a partner. We didn't talk about like what happens after you've chosen them. Right. And there's so much that goes into it. And this is just sort of scratching the surface on some of the things that we did or didn't do, in addition to some others that going forward we'll consider, right? Absolutely. So what's up next? I think the next topic might be yours. Other topics. This is the other topics. But before we get to close to the end, we talk a lot on here about like the loneliness of it, the getting together, the connecting. So I'm going to make a formal invite. If anybody, and I don't remember who it was because I don't think I ever got an email, but if you ever want to do like a hangout, not on here, not filming, I call this our reseller community service. But if you ever want to just, if you have the ability to do if you have a Google account, have the ability to do a Google Hangout, meaning you have a camera, your laptop has a microphone or whatever, a good enough Wi-Fi coming in that you can stream yourself and stream others, send us an email and put connect in the title, and we will do an informal get together. Like a couple of gals have inquired about, when I talk about our shoe cleaning, it's just a chance for us to get together, have some community, learn and share some brand knowledge, techniques, etc. So just send us a note. I can't, because these don't save, I can't pull comments and questions from the live chat, but we can certainly get them from an email, or you can consider leaving it in the comments below.
Yeah.
But then you're leaving your contact info, and like, Flipper Joe, you don't want to give the whole world your phone number because then the whole world might call you. So next up, and if Luke is still here, he has not committed yet. Reseller meetup, March 9th and 10th.
It's like a month away.
In Durham, North Carolina. It was up until last week a Goodwill free zone, but we added one just for folks that have not been to the GCFs or Goodwill Charitable Foundation, because it's a different animal up there compared to here and other places. The prices are right. They're lower, no tax. They only take cash, whatever. But our meetup is coming up. We're very excited about that. We don't charge for it. It's an opportunity for us all to get together. We added an informal night meeting. And we actually, with Paul's group from Raleigh, Durham, I don't know if you caught that or not, but we're adding some other folks, like the other Boy Scout troop. The other Boy Scout troop is going to come to our camp out or whatever. But a lot of things have been in the works behind the scenes to make that happen. And we're just really excited about that. So, Luke, if you're still here, are you coming or not? We got a room.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up, we're leaving tomorrow for our sourcing trip. So more about that as we know it.
Yeah, we're going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we got some things called earplanes. You want to talk about your earplanes?
Not really, but I will. They're just an earplug that keeps your ear from getting so much pressure changes, because I still have a little infection here and it's still clogged and it really stinks.
Yeah, double ear infections for adults really suck, just in case you're curious.
They really do. Next, warehouse steps. We need to talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, we really do. And we're actually going to go back there because we've rearranged. And I think that when we bring you back the next time, because I think I mentioned that everything that was left of mine, I gave it away now. I ended up donating it. So that made space for things that we needed space for, right? So when we go back, probably on Monday, right? Well, no. Yeah. On Monday, maybe we'll just try to do the show from there, to show you what we've been secretly working on in the laboratory. But we're going to begin at least the transition to starting to work from there, and list from there, because we have, shelves already.
For what we're picking up
quarantined. Well, from what we're going to get this weekend, but we had other stuff too. That's what I was talking about. Like there's stuff, there's tons of inventory that we have there that it's not going to list itself, right? So that's going to have to, it ain't. So we have to start working on that stuff as well, and having a presence there, starting this, we joke about we're not going to be able to get up and go to work in our pajamas anymore.
It's going to suck.
But we're going to start this. And it's funny because Luke gave us some, a push toward it, but he's going more toward, we used to have a pretty regimented schedule as well. And we've kind of gotten away from that. And we see that in some ways we're struggling, and we're not doing as good as we think we could be, because we're not following our own advice, our own discipline, perhaps.
You start to think you can wing it all the time.
Yeah, no.
It's not a good idea.
Like in everything from even how we do this show and what we do on this channel to, getting up in the morning and getting going. So we're actually going to task ourselves a lot more seriously with and accountability, I guess, with making that schedule. Like, what did we agree? We 10 to 4 kind of.
Yeah, 10 to 4. It was always going to be a work day. It sucks because if we push it to 5, the traffic coming home pushes it another hour. It's like it gets a little crazy sometimes. I mean, I guess it wouldn't take another hour. It would take another 20 minutes. Probably.
Some days it's not so good.
Yeah. So it would add even more time.
Right. So in addition to making that transition to start working there, we're also going to have to start moving inventory. And the challenge we already see is that not only do we have to move the jeans and the shoes from here, there, but we're kind of in a position where we're about to take in arguably a large amount of additional inventory from another source.
Right.
That's going to require our attention as well. So all of this, it's kind of like still, like usual, we've got all these balls up in the air at the same time. But I think that we've come up with a plan where we can manage it in concert, where it's going to make sense, right? And
yeah, theoretically.
Yeah. I have it all worked out.
It's kind of up here, but it's going to have to, but it's going to kind of have to play out in reality too, to sort of tweak it a bit, because we haven't done this before.
No. And in order to make the transition where we're most effective in that warehouse space, we're going to have to set up photo and listing stations, or photo and processing stations there. And that means we're going to have to take, well, we have a whole list of what that looks like, but we're going to have to take lists, lights and other things there. Ninja, was that question for us? Is it still fun?
Is reselling still fun for y'all as long as you've been doing it?
Take it away, Prof.
Why'd you look at me?
Because some days are funner than others.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure here, it's never so much been the reselling part that's been the hook for me. It's being in business for myself. It's not having to work for someone else. As someone, I saw a shirt that said, "I'm a recovering employee," or something like that the other day. I thought was pretty good. And it's being able to build something greater than what was started, which was nothing. Mm-hmm. You don't get to do that in a traditional job. You don't get to do any of those things. It's all very regimented and formatted, and you're told. So being in business for myself pushes all those buttons, and reselling is a great way to do it because there's so many different ways you can do it. You're not pigeonholed in. It's not like we opened up an ice cream store where you got to sell ice cream. And in the winter, you don't sell as much ice cream. So the business sucks. In the summer, you're crazy busy. And, I mean, it's just nothing wrong with an ice cream shop. I'm just saying that it's just very one track minded. Whereas with reselling, you can go in so many different directions, do it so many different ways. There's not a lot of other opportunities out there that allow you to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I think for all those reasons, it's absolutely still fun, but maybe a little different than how you asked the question, if that makes sense.
How is that for an answer?
You know me, I can't give like a 10-second answer. It's got to be like.
There'll be a spreadsheet. We'll put it up over the weekend.
What's up with the spreadsheets today? By the way, I have to figure out something on a spreadsheet. You know that.
I figured out carpooling. Like I texted my son. So second rugby match of the season, away game tonight. More players needing rides than parents providing rides. So I made a
Anybody can come give people a ride.
So I made a spreadsheet just because I needed numbers. I needed to see it. And I texted.
Okay. Criticize me.
I kid you not. I texted my son at school. I'm like, dude, we may have a problem. And we also did a community service thing where it was the same thing where I needed to see the numbers. And I'm like, man, we need help here because we got more people needing than providing. So there you go.
I got one other thing to share too that just happened a little while ago. So over the last few days, I've had a few days here where I've had 0 sales on eBay. Mm-hmm. I've been listing, I've ran promoted listings, I've done markdowns. I actually have more items listed than I did at the beginning of the month. So I called eBay. And I don't remember what option I chose, because they give you like a one-time PIN you can use to connect to somebody. And I got through very quickly. It was less than a minute. And I told them, this is what I said to the rep. I said, the last few days, sales have not been good. And here's what I've been doing to improve them. And I just want to make sure on your end that there's nothing weird going on. Like there's nothing strange about my account, or my listings aren't visible, or something, just anything. Because, you know, sometimes that happens. So she went, she was very helpful. She put me on hold for a couple minutes. She came back and said, we don't really see anything crazy, but I kid you not, here's what she said. She said, but I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I want to pass on like your store info to our tech team. And I was like, all right. And she said, and they'll just analyze it from the technical standpoint, I guess maybe the database, the background, like you know, where the listings are showing up, who knows? And she will call me back with the results. That's literally what they did. I've never had them say anything like that before. I was kind of just trying to ninja the system a little bit, and not that they would press some button and all of a sudden your sales get better. But sometimes I think when they go in and they look at your account and they start doing things, you know, the system may have to sort of re-index and go back through. We'll see if if anything happens. But I thought it was kind of interesting. They're going to call me back with the results. She's like, they're not going to call you back. I think they will, actually.
She's just stroking your eBay ego, I think.
I don't know. I think. Well, I mean, it's weird though. Like, why would they say they're going to do that and they don't? But
it made you feel better, didn't it?
It did.
Okay, so we have another customer service issue. So we got an order from Amazon, right? So we ran out of our leather honey, both the cleaner and the conditioner. We kind of ordered them at the same time.
Yeah.
And it got delivered, and we noticed that it looked like something was leaking in the box. And I thought maybe they put it in a puddle or whatever. And I need some advice because I'm the one that will actually follow up with Amazon on this. But it looked like the leather conditioner, which is a little oily comparatively, but it leaked. It leaked out of the container. We opened it up, and this is how it came, right? So it's already in a bag. Like they know it's going to leak or something, and it's negligible. I mean, it's not that much, but it's just kind of crummy, right? We get this thing, and it's like...
Yeah, they didn't even seal this that great.
No,
because it leaked.
It's so like hodgepodge.
It need to be taped.
So haphazard. It's just big disappointment, right? So, but here's the thing that I need advice on. So I go into Amazon, and there's really not a lot you can do with regard to follow. It's not the same. So I go in to leave. Was it leave feedback? I think whatever I did, I'm about to just drop it and say, you know, this really stinks, you know, whatever. And before it would let me hit submit, it says, before you leave a negative feedback, contact customer service. I hit the link, and it brings me full circle. Like it brings me to this page that says nothing about customer service. It just gives me options on leave feedback, return an item, whatever. So then I chose it, and then it brings me right back to the same screen with the stars and whatever. So I'm really at a point where, okay, but I'm like an inch from, I don't want to leave negative feedback, but this is pretty shoddy and crummy, don't you think? Like, I know that we talk a lot as resellers about how the care and attention we put into packaging, but this is just a real big fat disappointment. So if anybody has some advice for me shy of launching that through the window, too bad, because we're going to use it because we desperately need it.
Yep.
But I don't know what, like Amazon has let me down today in a big way. And I'm a Prime member. Like, hello.
Prime Rib.
Prime USD Prime. Right? Isn't that a song?
USDA
certified lean.
Oh, wow. All right.
Who knows that song reference?
I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Hope you have a great weekend coming up. It's Friday. And if you did, what should they do, Kaaren?
They should smash the like button. I need a new voice. Adam, help me out here.
Yeah, check out the description below for helpful links and so on. And we appreciate you guys coming out. And we'll be back on Monday, I suspect.
Yep,
with some stories.
We will be on the road again, and we will try to. We always say we're going to film stuff, and we never do.
So hard. I don't know. It's terrible. We suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming out today, guys.
Happy sales
we'll
to
see
you.
Really
we
soon.
won't sing, so there you go. As always, this is Just Ask Kaaren.
And Prof Sales.
Saying
good
sales to you.